I'm here with an elected official, a friend of the Symphony, and a leader who represents this community on the Ventura County Board of Supervisors, Carmen Ramirez. We are so delighted to have you here with us for our Tour of Mexico Festival. Carmen, I'm so honored that you are a patron of New West Symphony and such a steward of culture in this area. Tell us about this journey that you've been on.
Well, I'm just very pleased to have been supported by the people of my community to become a county supervisor. This is a county with maybe 30% of our community is Latino, and I'm only the third supervisor of that ancestry to be elected, and it's been a long time coming, and I'm proud to serve my community.
But you have very deep roots here, don't you?
Well, my father's family was one of the several families that came. They came from Mexico, the coast off the Gulf of California, and they came across the Sea of Cortez, which is also known as the Gulf of California, walked up Baja behind Spanish soldiers to ultimately come to Los Angeles, what is now Los Angeles, on September 4th, 1781. They were very humble people. They were mestizo and mulatto and European mixed people. And they came to be farmers to serve the population because the Spanish government, which had claimed California from the native people, which are still here, I know them, I have relatives who are in those tribes, they took it over, and they were trying to keep the Russians out and the English, who also wanted to have California. So Spain claimed it. They brought folks to populate it and provide the resources, the food, the cattle, the tools, and work on irrigation. And so that's one of the lines of my family. We're proud of it.
Absolutely.
We didn't get a land grant, but we have our wonderful history. There's a photo of my grandmother, which I absolutely love. It's going to be in my county office. She is a girl of 16. She grew up in the valley, the San Joaquin Valley, and I knew her. I loved her. I saw her very often. She lived with my family a lot of the time. She didn't really speak English. She was born in 1888. She was an American citizen. She never voted. She didn't think she had the right to vote because she didn't speak English. She certainly did have the right to vote after women's suffrage came in the 20s. And very strong woman. She had 7 children. She had 5 sons who went to World War II, and including my father. So you can imagine what that would have been like. So here's a woman who grew up in a family, a Spanish-speaking family with this heritage, who grew up in a California that didn't really accept people like her and people like my father's family, yet they served our country in the most priceless way, that you can't put a price on it. Will you serve your country in war? Luckily, they all came back. My father came back, and everybody was relieved. I came after that, and we have to be proud of that heritage too, that anybody can serve, anybody can give their patriotic duty to the country. And I'm just, my advice to people who have relatives now that are getting older, please ask them what life was like when they were growing up. My grandmother and her husband and my father as a baby and my mother as a baby, they survived the Spanish flu. I never asked her about it. I didn't know.
No. How would you know to ask?
I wouldn't know to ask because I could have, if I had known about it, I could have asked her, what was it like to have all these children and this pandemic came, and how did you survive? What did you do to survive?
So your own personal history, tell us how you go from being a legal aid to this community advocate.
Well, I've just been very lucky. I was able to go to college and go to law school. I went to Loyola Law School in LA and have had a very long legal career representing people in Ventura County. I was based in Oxnard, and for a long time I worked in the Colonia which is a lovely part of the city of Oxnard where I feel very comfortable, and I still go there, and it's great food and great people. And what happened was I was seeing some things I thought I could serve my community better by being one of the decision makers about policy and budget. And we had some environmental problems that I felt I could lend a hand to try to work on correcting them and stopping them from happening. So I sort of became known as a community leader in that. And when there was an opening on Oxnard City Council more than 10 years ago, I decided to run for it and ultimately won and served there for 10 long years in my wonderful city of Oxnard.
Can you help us understand this word that I kind of hate to use, labels? Because we're all trying to understand each other in a respectful way. When people say Hispanic or Latino, can you help us?
Well, I would say there's not one right way to say what a person's ancestry is. I could say I'm Mexican American. I could say I'm Chicano. Chicana means, it has more of a political context, because you don't have to be Mexican American to be a Chicano. You could be Costa Rican or Cuban or Puerto Rican, but you're just kind of identifying with a pride in your culture. People from Latin America, they could be from Bolivia or Argentina or Cuba or Mexico. They have different cultural practices and histories, but then you lump everybody into one. Hispanic kind of means you have a Spanish surname or you speak Spanish, and it's sort of a government way of putting people into a box. But we don't all fit in the box, and the box doesn't really give that richness of culture that you would see if you, well, okay, you're from Costa Rica, right, or you're from Nicaragua or Colombia. What is your particular heritage? What is it that you enjoy and want to promote of your culture? I don't like to say, oh, where are you from, or who are your parents? I want to know, what is your story to your children and your family and your neighbors? So let's not get tied up with these labels on people, because there's a lot. Understand and try to respect people's cultures, where they're coming from, and how they feel about themselves. And I think the most important thing is respect.
Absolutely. Carmen, what is the role of the arts in life here, and what do you hope it will be going down the road?
You know, I've been lucky enough to be involved in a lot of the arts communities. I was involved with Studio Channel Islands Art Gallery as president at one point. I'm not an artist, but I'm a supporter of the arts. And I was a board member of Teatro de las Americas, which is a bilingual arts theater group. And I would say with those and with a lot of the arts community activities, you're really developing people's self-esteem, a lot of times, especially in theater, voice and confidence. And once somebody has that, you can't take it away. And I think so many people are driven to be creative. They're driven to be painters, sculptors, musicians, writers. That is inherent in our human species. Not everybody is inclined that way, but those that are, they need that creative release, and it really contributes to a healthier society, a more beautiful society, and also I think it really promotes the thinking process. We need people to think about things. What is beauty? What is art? What is truth? And the arts, whatever form, I think it brings it out. You know, we can listen to music composed by someone whose language we don't speak, who lives in a different country, but you get the emotion from that violin or that piano. Right now I'm getting goosebumps because I'm thinking about some of the performances I've seen at the Symphony Live, the fantastic pianists and violinists and all of the players. They bring emotion. These are human emotions. We can all feel them no matter where we come from, and even if we can't speak that language.
And I love the idea of giving people confidence to be creative, to actually draw those lines and to actually say, I feel that it's yellow and not purple, and whatever those creative instincts are. Somehow I feel in our society it's about consuming other people's creativity and enjoying it.
It enriches your life.
But to be the creator and have the confidence, I think, is amazing. Thank you so much for sharing your story. Carmen Ramirez, you are an inspiration to this community, and thank you for sharing it with us.
Thank you for the invitation and the interview.